on securing the country, making it safe for President Barrow to return and also begin the business of governing the country. Although no specific date has been fixed for Barrow's departure from Senegal, reliable sources who will not like to be mentioned said his departure may be within the next 2 days, barring any unforeseen developments. Meanwhile, the Gambian President Adama Barrow has acknowledged the concerted efforts by ECOWAS leaders to sanitize the political landscape of the Gambia as former President Yahya Jammeh settles down for life in exile. He particularly appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari on his commitment to seeing the standoff to a logical conclusion. Your Adeoye reports.
The big brother role in restoring peace and good governance in the Gambia did not go unnoticed by President Adama Barrow, who fought the battle of his life, backed by President Muhammadu Buhari and other West African leaders to have his mandate restored. ECOWAS leaders moved to ensure that Yahya Jammeh gave up power after losing elections last month. The palpable fear among the Gambians over the cloudy political situation was overwhelming, making the intervention of the regional political bloc in the standoff unavoidable.
And I think it was a good move by ECOWAS. We don't want this one to set precedent that will bring other problems.
The coast appears clear now for Adama Barrow to hit the ground running with the final departure of Yahya Jammeh, who will be starting a new life in Guinea. Barrow was full of praises for President Muhammadu Buhari and the ECOWAS for standing firm to ensure that the will of the people prevailed.
So he was key, and he took his time to fly to Banjul twice. That shows that the interest he have for that country and the interest he have for that dialogue. So he played a very, very important role, and we thank him for that. I know he has been an advocate of democracy. He contested elections so many times, but he was patient.
Jammeh, who has ruled the West African country for over 2 decades, lost the last presidential post to opposition candidate Adama Barrow. He accepted the results but later rejected them, citing irregularities. Ayo Adeoye, NTA News.
The river basin in Nigeria since its establishment have failed to carry out developmental projects. Guests on NTA Good Morning Nigeria who disclosed this said in moving forward there is need for concession and professionalism. Aisha Uba Ali tells us more. I'm afraid that story will come up much later in the bulletin. Let's go to the legislature now. Senate President Bukola Saraki has reiterated the APC-led government's commitment to providing the dividends of democracy to the people. This was at the flag-off of a road project lining some communities in Zamfara State. Jamilu Ibrahim reports.
The 61-kilometer road project that links various communities in Zurmi, Birnamagaji and Kaurnamura local government areas awarded by Zamfara state government at the cost of more than 4.3 billion naira was part of Governor Abdulaziz Yari's promises to people in the areas during his 2015 election campaigns. Senate President Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, who flagged up the construction of the road, eulogized the commitment of the governor in providing dividends of democracy to people of the state despite the prevailing economic challenges.
I've told that this request for this road has been on for over 20-30 years. So what we are doing is a great achievement for the governor and the APC government.
Zamfara State Governor Alhaji Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar says the contracting firm has already received 60% of the total contract sum.
From the inception of this administration, we have built over 700 kilometer roads of both federal and state roads, and 93% of these projects have been completed and commissioned.
Minister of Defense responds on behalf of the benefiting communities.
For the entire people of this zone, I say a big thank you.
The project is to be completed within 12 months. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The second edition of the Presidential Quarterly Business Forum is holding in Abuja, where the business community and other stakeholders in the private sector are dialoguing on the policy direction of the Buhari administration, especially as it touches on matters of the economy. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The first edition of this business forum came up in September 2016, where ministers then explained government policies as they relate to their economy. Here at the second edition, it is the turn of players in the industry to give their own assessment of how these policies have affected their businesses.
I'm recommending now all the federal government to make sure that we have enough food to eat, encourage the industries, make sure people get job, then forget about foreign exchange. Then we have very good reserve. That's it. In India, it worked for them. In China, it worked for them. All over other countries in the world, it worked for them.
The ease of doing business that the government has set up, the Committee on the Ease of Doing Business, is very, very important. But one thing I want to mention is that we, private sector, want to be part of this committee because we know where the shoe pinches.
There is a need for seamless coordination and synergy between fiscal and monetary policies in driving the economy.
From the assessment, government receives pass mark from players in the organized private sector on its policies aiming to diversify the economy and ensuring a robust industry.
Indeed, it's our strong belief that sustainable economic growth is only possible if it is private sector led. And a great deal of attention has been paid, as you will probably find, in sustaining private sector leadership, especially in the plans, our Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017, which is to be launched next month.
To achieve these aims, 3 key recommendations were made, which include more access to foreign exchange and the review of current tax policy. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Former Senate President Ken Nnamani and former Governor of Old Anambra State, Chief Jim Nwobodo, have registered as members of the All Progressives Congress APC during the ongoing registration exercise taking place in the Southeast Zone. Chemobi Walter Naji reports.
The re-registration exercise is aimed at wooing political heavyweights in the Southeast Zone into joining the party with a view to making it stronger and more viable ahead of the 2019 general elections. The Southeast chairman of the party, Ima Enuku, said the choice of the 2 elder statesmen registering in the zone is a clear indication that the party has gained acceptance in the zone and called on other interested politicians to take the opportunity to register and give voice to the zone at the national level.
People may say we'll start things late, but we'll calculate before we start. After our calculation, if you look at the political scenery in the country, you will see that all our giants are being emptied into APC because the decision has been taken.
Senator Ken Nnamani, while speaking at his residence after registration, said his aim of joining the party is to reunite the zone under a common front to restore its place in the national political field.
If you have new information that makes you to change your mind, it will be folly for you not to change your mind. The Southeast has a role to play in our nation. We cannot distance ourselves and play from outside and be crying under the rain. No person will notice that.
Senator Jim Nwobodo pointed out that the party is well positioned to help the nation move forward and charged members to remain loyal to the party and not indulge in anti-party activities.
There is joy in belonging to a party that is a family. Please, if you have misgivings about anybody, drop those misgivings today and become brothers and sisters. Because I know what to tell our people, I know how to discuss with them, and they will join our party.
Other party stalwarts who spoke at the occasion said the exercise will further boost the party's credibility in the zone. High point was the handing over of the registration slip to the registered members. In Enugu, Shimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
And back to Abuja, Nigeria will key into the outcome of the 7th General Assembly of the International Renewable Energy, recently held in Abu Dhabi, to promote a shift from fossil fuel to renewable energy. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, told science reporters in Abuja that as founding member of the organization, the nation is expected to introduce renewable energy in the energy mix through proper application of the required technology. Science correspondent Kirian Umayo reports that Nigeria was voted the 4th vice president of the organization.
Dr. Onu explained that the current administration in Nigeria is already making progress in this direction through solar energy project in Karachi, Abuja, and wind-propelled energy program in Katsina State. 120 countries and 75 ministers attended the meeting.
It is important that the world recognizes that the problems we've been having with climate change is serious, and the world is trying to move away from the use of fossil fuels that create these problems through the production of carbon dioxide. Let us change our thinking. Let us not see science and technology as something that is invisible, or that we think that you can take money and go and buy technology. You can't take money and buy technology. You can take money and buy this wristwatch, but the technology of making the wristwatch, you can't buy it with money.
Dr. Ono was also in Ethiopia for a meeting on the eradication of sesafly in Africa. He said that Nigeria will upgrade the nation's research institute to enable it to grow the capacity to produce sterile male and sesafly for effective control of the insects which attack and kill livestock in the continent. Sesafly is also known to have adverse effects on human health. In Abuja, Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
A one-day sensitization workshop on local raw materials, sourcing and handling of leather, textile, dyeing and finishing chemicals for the Southeast Geopolitical Zone has been held in Aba. Comfort Ayim reports that the event organized by the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology is a short-term intervention to reach out to manufacturers and foster awareness on benefit of the standardization of products by entrepreneurs in the zone.
The workshop held at the Southeast Zonal Office of the National Research Institute for Chemical Technology, NARICT, Aba, is aimed at diversifying the nation's economy through SMEs for economic growth. Declaring the workshop open, the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, represented by Mr. Akinyemi Olumuyiwa, said the event became necessary following the present administration's drive to promoting local content and providing sectoral innovative activities that will enhance the technological and entrepreneurial skills of Nigerians for sustainable national development.
That Aba is acknowledged nationally as the hub for the manufacturing of varieties of products, which includes leather and textile wares, food and drinks, equipment, chemical products, spare parts, etc., which would tremendously promote import substitutions.
Sourcing of local raw materials and effective management of chemicals to ensure safety, as well as way out of recession with the enormous natural resources and robust human capital Nigeria is blessed with, were among issues discussed.
We don't have a direct line budget. We don't have a means of raising funds. And we are also asking the states to collaborate with us so that there will be a kind of input from the states, and that will help us to sustain this place and develop it.
Organizers of the event also were on inspection tour around the exhibition center with emphasis on the need for proper packaging of made in Nigeria products. In Aba, Comfort Ayim, NTA News.
Now, let's take a look at some of the day's other news for you. Wife of Senate President honors armed forces personnel Let's get details of these and other stories from our Lagos Network Center with Abdullahi standing by. Abdullahi.
Thanks for joining us in Lagos, Joseph. Beg your pardon. In a bid to consolidate on its infrastructural renewal drive, the Lagos State government has disclosed plans to commence the construction of 181 local government roads in the current fiscal year. The State Governor Akinwumi Ambode made the disclosure at the first quarterly town hall meeting for the year 2017, the sixth in the series, held at Ajelogo Housing Scheme, Ajelogo Market Road, Mile 12. Nosausula reports.
While highlighting the plans of his administration for the first quarter, Governor Akinwumi Ambode said that it is imperative to embark on the construction of more roads in the state to attract investors and make communities more economically viable.
The improvements that we've been doing in the making of this, removing all those roundabouts, about 3 of them, and then the flyover, which we believe the flyover will be completed before May 27.
The governor also added that in continuation of his administration's quest to address housing deficits in Lagos, his government's rent-to-own and rental housing policy came into effect last quarter to provide affordable housing units across the 3 senatorial districts, saying that there are presently 4,355 units available with over 500 applicants pre-qualified so far, and allocation will commence next week. Ambode, however, charged Lagos residents to continue to pay their taxes as at and when due, so that they can continue to enjoy the dividends of democracy. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
As part of efforts to improve the welfare personnel of the armed forces, wife of the Senate President Oluwatoyin Saraki presented various items including medical kits worth thousands of naira to the 9th Brigade Medical Center, Ikeja, Lagos. I. Daniels has details.
Wife of the Senate President Oluwatoyin Saraki commended the Nigerian Armed Forces for their steadfastness in maintaining peace and security in the country. To this end, she urged well-meaning Nigerians to assist the government in its efforts at improving the welfare of the military personnel.
It's actually today that I discovered that the population of the cantonment is 2 million citizens of armed forces families are living here in this cantonment. That's bigger than some countries. For me, every challenge is a ladder to be climbed. And so long as we keep trying, we will get there in Nigeria.
In meeting the health needs of wives of military officers and their children, Toyin Saraki, through her pet project, the Wellbeing Foundation Africa, presented medical and health kits to expectant and nursing mothers, as well as empowered several midwives with various health care kits.
When you educate women about their bodies and that everything they need to look after their newborn child is actually inside their body, it gives them the confidence. That's why my foundation invests in midwives, in putting midwives at the right place with the right training at the right time, because an investment in one midwife is an investment in 3 people, the midwife, the mother, and her newborn baby.
Wife of the Senate President added that the welfare package will be extended to civilians across the country. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
On the welfare of the armed forces, the Chief of Air Staff, Vice Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, says the general well-being of its personnel, who play one of the most important roles in logistics support in the deployment of air power, will be given utmost consideration. He stated these when he inaugurated 2 blocks of 6 3-bedroom residential quarters for officers at the Sam Ethnan Air Force Base, Ikeja. Ken Egwelge has details.
The Chief of Air Staff told the officers and men at the base that logistics is critical to the successful conduct of the Nigerian Air Force operations. This is because they have contributed greatly to the restoration of peace, security, humanitarian efforts, and well-being of Nigerians. He said the Nigerian Air Force is committed to creating an enabling working environment for its personnel with a view to motivating them to discharge their duties effectively and efficiently.
It is therefore only appropriate that such a base receives commensurate attention in terms of infrastructure and facility development for the general well-being of its personnel.
In this regard, the Chief of Air Staff assured the personnel that the Air Force will continue to address the huge deficit in accommodation across the Nigerian Air Force base in the country. The projects are named after some personnel of the Nigerian Air Force who died in the line of duty in Lagos. Ken Ibeluge, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide News on the network service of the NTA. More reports in Abuja with Joseph. Joseph, over to you.
Abdullahi from our Lagos Network Center there. Now let's bring you more updates from the Gambia. President Adama Barrow says a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate alleged human rights abuses under Jammeh's 22-year rule will be established. He has therefore enjoined the people of the Gambia to team up with his administration as he settles down to rebuild the political and constitutional structures of the country. He spoke exclusively with our correspondent Makut Simon Macham in Dakar, Senegal.
How do you intend to move Gambia forward by uniting Gambians as you settle down?
We have a very friendly campaign. Our campaign was all based on principle, no personal sentiments. I think that has put us in a very strong position to unite the country. A lot of APRC supporters, the ruling party, some of them came to congratulate me because of the line of campaign we took. I think that was the best for that country. We contest election based on principle, and we strictly follow those principles. And you know what is interesting about all this thing? The team that is behind me have been there advocating for good governance, democracy for the past 30, 40 years. And Gambians are lucky they are part of this team that is now taking charge of affairs in this country. So Gambia is lucky in that aspect. We can unify the country, we believe that, because we have nothing against anybody. It's the principle, and we follow that principle. Hands on deck, we move.
What about the welfare of Gambians? Where do you hope to take them to? They have entrusted you with their destiny, so to say. Where do you hope to take them to as you govern them?
You know, one thing is important: the environment. The environment for Gambians to operate freely. That environment is very important, and that environment must be with very good laws, democratic principles. Everybody will have equal chance. I think that is key here. And with democracy, I think the sky is the limit for every country. The countries that develop, they all believe in democratic principles. And we are going to make sure we implement that. I think Gambia is back, and we will move very fast. I think so. I'm very hopeful.
Gambian President Adama Barrow there. Meanwhile, Gambians who fled the country on the eve of the political impasse are said to be gradually returning home following the exit of Yahya Jammeh, which halted the military action proposed by ECOWAS NTA's correspondent Makut Simon Macham, who is in Dakar, Senegal, disclosed these on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Said about 45,000 people were estimated to have left the country. Aisha Oba Ali reports.
The defiance of Yahya Jammeh and the deployment of ECOWAS troops to the border, waiting for the deadline to enforce the mandate of the people, made quite a number of Gambians and other nationals to flee the country. The change of mind after a series of emissaries met Jammeh led to his departure, which set the stage for Adama Barrow to take over. NTA correspondent Makut Simon Macham, who, while discussing the Gambian situation alongside international affairs analysts on Good Morning Nigeria, said President Barrow will have to contend with a weak and bankrupt economy.
And he said there will be term limits, and that the rule of law will be entrenched in the Gambia. And so I think he's got his plate full, but the world is watching.
Those who benefited from his regime may want to intimidate Barrow, it's not clear if they will have an inclination again towards trying to instigate another military rule, which has often been the case with African politicians. If they can't get power, then they go and seduce the military to come and take over again. I suspect that the Gambians will be tired of that tradition.
On the issue of security, the ECOWAS troops are poised to remain in the country until stability is achieved. Apprehension among the citizens is said to be high, with businesses yet to fully pick up. The analyst see Barrow as a man of integrity who pledged to carry along everyone and maintain the cordial and diplomatic relationship with countries that would develop the Gambia. Meanwhile, the mainstay of the Gambian economy has been groundnut and tourism. In Abuja, Aisha Oba Ali, NTA News.
Now, let's turn our attention to Kano, because the Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, says the establishment of Islamic financial institutions in the last 5 years has accelerated growth and attracted more investors into the country. This was during the 3rd Conference on Islamic Banking and Finance organized by Bayero University, Kano. Lawal Salau Inoa reports.
With the theme Islamic Banking and Finance, Financial Inclusion and Sustainable Development, the conference seeks to highlight challenges faced by Islamic finance institutions in Nigeria, as well as its main objectives as partner in providing reliable financial corporate services for economic development. Speakers at the event spoke on history of Islamic banking in Nigeria, success and challenges, as well as the way to take the financial institution for better development. Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II says Nigeria was among the first African countries to embrace Islamic financial institution, which is recording a significant success story in recent years.
I do hope that our finance ministry will take the lead on this. If Cote d'Ivoire has done sukuk, South Africa has done sukuk, we're looking for money to build airports, to build roads. Let's tap into these markets. Let's take advantage of these opportunities.
He used the medium to call on philanthropists and civil societies organizations to participate in promoting girl child education, which is facing challenges, especially in northern part of the country. Kano State Deputy Governor Professor Hafiz Abubakar said the introduction of free feeding in the state primary schools was part of commitment to attract more student enrollment in schools for the betterment of the society. Also featured at the event was an award to the Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II for his support and contribution in the development of Islamic banking in Nigeria. From Bahrain University, Kano, Lawal Sallau Inua, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture is considering the reintroduction of commodity marketing boards as a measure to improve food production and generate revenue through agriculture. In this report, agriculture correspondent Musa Babaliu takes a look at the role of the commodity boards, advantages and challenges.
Commodity marketing boards were subsidiaries of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, saddled with the responsibility of supplying farming inputs and offtake farmers' produce at fixed prices and store it for local consumption and exports. Apart from exposing farmers to new modern farming techniques, the commodity boards were arranging overseas foreign partners to buy the identified produce from Nigeria. However, in 1986, the federal government abolished the marketing boards due to what it terms corruption in the system. The development left farmers with no option than to produce and source for market for their produce on their own through the informal commodity market.
When you talk of value chain, in oil palm, if it's well taken into consideration, the oil palm sustains a country.
The price of cotton is not determined by the Nigerian farmer or Nigerian government or no. Pricing of cotton is determined by the international world market.
In view of high demand and supply of farm produce within and outside the country, the Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogwe, says the ministry is looking at the possibility of re-establishing marketing boards with new phase and mandate.
We may have to hold a public hearing on this matter within the ministry. There are those who say that there were abuses in those days, that people actually cheated farmers in the villages. And there are those who say, no, the system worked very well because they guaranteed quality control, they educated farmers on what to do, how to dry, how to pack.
They let them,
upscale their production. There's sufficient market, not only for Nigerians, but the entire West African sub-region. So there is enough incentive, from federal government through the Anchor Program scheme, through other, programs that we have.
Over 120 million seedlings of cocoa and palm kernel, as well as improved variety of cotton seeds, are to be distributed to farmers nationwide. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now back to our earlier report in which we told you that the river basin in Nigeria since its establishment have failed to carry out developmental projects. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria who disclosed they said in moving forward there is need for concession and professionalism. Aisha Obali reports.
With 12 river basins development authorities scattered across the country, Nigeria is supposed to by now overcome water resources, power and agricultural challenges that the projects seek to address. These guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria say is attributed to multiple issues ranging from policy, legislation and funding to mismanagement and lack of private sector participation.
Go to a dam built and sometimes even the power line strong, and then take the provision of the electricity, distribution, and then taking their money. The reason is it is easier for you to get money from services from electricity supply rather than services provided by the water. But the water is the energy that generates this. Nobody's ready to put that infrastructure. And in many cases, and I've been telling them, if you cannot do that, government is not ready to be just providing this. We know the government has the responsibility to provide dams, but the amount of money required to provide a dam is huge.
Because we believe that if you must, as the landlord of the dams and the irrigation lands, if you must get effective returns to enable you continue to maintain these dams, continue to maintain the irrigation waterways and stuff, you ought to have an organization such as the ROBDA fully kitted up to take up that responsibility from government and charge the necessary fees.
Yeah.
The guests see the present government's strive to diversify the economy as an opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and make river basin development authorities functional so as to achieve the desired results. These, they say, will enhance all year-round farming using the irrigation system and collaboration with private partners. In Abuja, Aisha Obali, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. The news continues after these messages. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
Political developments in the Gambia and Donald Trump's presidency. What it holds for U.S.-Africa relations is the focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live, informative, educative, and engaging. Don't be told. Join us.
You are welcome to Olani's Joint, the best Ikwabi joint in the east of Niger.
Stop grilling me, man. Word on the street is the food here is dumb good. And me being mad hungry, I just came here to get some grub so I could wolf it down. Know what I mean?
Once again, I was not understanding anything you was talking.
This week on your award-winning comedy series, Professor John Bull, starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Wokoye, Yomi Fash Lanso, Stephen Odingbe.
He get to one madman who I don't drink and swallow only Superman super bypass.
What?
That's the man. That night guy this. Yeah? The thief of soup. That's a small boy. Now you are not Peter.
Professor John Bull, this Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA Network, International, and Star Times.
You will pay Ufoma for her soup and for the trauma.
No, but only soup. You're telling me saying don't collect them for your hand. You're not telling me saying don't collect your trouser.
Over and out.
Welcome to the new speed of life. Do you crave class? Do you have taste? And do you care about comforts? If you do, then for your next event, a stay away from home, a business trip, or a holiday, visit Jade's Hotel at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Check out our world-class services, exquisite suites, restaurant and bar, gymnasium, spa and grills, and our outdoor catering services and cuisines. At Jade's, it can only be better. For bookings and reservations, visit us today at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja, or visit www.jadeshotels.com. Our email address is info@jadeshotels.com. You can also call us on 09291-9321 or 0810-909-7956. Jade's Hotels, welcome to life.
This is to invite the general public to the 2017 Annual National Political Summit. Theme: Nigerian Democracy, Constitutionalism and Leadership Recruitment Paradigm. Chief Guest of Honor, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Summit Chairman, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osibajo, SAN, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Prime Summit Speaker, Senator Dr. Bukola Saraki, CON, Senate President, National Assembly. Special Guest of Honor, Right Honorable Dogara Yakubu, Speaker, Federal House of Reps, National Assembly. Summit Guest Speaker, Her Excellency Catherine Samba Panza, former President of Central African Republic. Lead Paper Presenter, Chief Solomon Adun Asemota, SAN, Member Constituent Assembly and Member Constitution Review Committee 1987. Date: accreditation is on 21st to 22nd January 2017. Main Summit, 23rd to 25th January 2017. Venue: International Conference Center, ICC, Abuja. Register online at www.politicalsummitng.com. Only registered delegates shall be accredited. This event is organized by Save Democracy Group Africa, SDGA, and other organizations. Announcer, Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami, OFR, Chairman, Main Organizing Committee, National Political Summit.
Glad to have you back to NTA Nationwide with me, Joseph Johnson. Let's talk legislative matters now. Ministries, departments and agencies are challenged to do more to comply with the federal character principle as stipulated in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Members of the House Committee on Federal Character, led by Chairman Ahmed Idris, gave the challenge to some agencies that appeared before them.
The agencies include the EFCC, the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, and the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Maiduguri.
Share with us whether the Commission is in compliance with the provision of the Constitution as it relates to even distribution of staffs.
We tried as much as possible. Like in Lagos and Ekiti, the recruits, we had to go looking for candidates.
The staff representation was far more nationalistic before the onset of the insurgency. At the peak of the insurgency, including very senior doctors and consultants that the hospital trained, all of them left the services of the hospital.
Members of the committee, however, urged that in subsequent recruitment exercises, these anomalies are urgently addressed.
The compliance level, I would say, for most agencies has been very discouraging. It's not quite encouraging, and it is a prayer that as we are doing the job, we'll get over the imbalances.
The federal character principle seeks to ensure that appointments fairly reflect the linguistic, ethnic, religious, and geographic diversity of the country. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives is pleased with the attention given to border communities by the federal government through the execution of people-oriented projects. Chairman House Committee on Special Duties Nasiru Zango stated these after inspecting projects funded by the federal government through the Border Communities Development Agency in Kebbi State. Mayor Ogidi has details.
These are some communities in Kebbi State sharing boundaries with the Benin Republic and Niger. Due to their location, they hardly feel the presence of either the state or the federal government in terms of development. But with the coming on board of the Border Communities Development Agency, their story has changed positively.
No. What is this? This is the milling machine, he said.
And to see things for themselves, the House of Representatives Committee on Special Duties is here to assess the state of projects executed by the agency. The projects include rice processing mill, residential buildings, construction of classrooms, administrative blocks, and staff quarters, as well as health centers.
I'm happy with what I'm seeing that the BCDA is undertaking here. But if the communities are well taken care of, facilities are provided, infrastructure is provided, schools are provided, health clinics are provided, they will feel that they are Nigerians and their loyalty is to Nigerians.
That the contractor has to effect changes in some of those areas. And these are the exact things the committee, the chairman and the members of the committee pointed out. So we are going to do something about it.
With these trials by the federal government through the Border Communities Development Agency, the Kebbi State government has promised to partner the federal government in addressing the needs of these remote communities in the state. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
Just time to remind you that you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Let's now join Kemi in our Ibadan Network Center for the 46th coronation anniversary of the Alaafin of Oyo and other stories. Kemi, it's over to you.
Thank you, Joseph, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. Two people have emerged winners of the 2016 Personality Award of the National Institute of Marketing Ibadan chapter. Correspondent Olumide Gutola, who witnessed the award ceremony in Ibadan, he now reports.
The annual Personality of the Year Award by the Ibadan chapter of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria is to appreciate and encourage the members of the public to do more for the association and the society. This year's event was attended by the NTA's Executive Director of Marketing, Adenike Rufade, represented by the Deputy Director of Marketing, Pius Oji. He explained that only 2 awardees emerged the Personality of the Year Award from the over 100 professionals who applied for the honor. The Ibadan chapter chairman of the association speaks.
Those that have contributed to our society, so that will spur them to do more. And basically, you can see it's not centered around money.
The awardees expressed appreciation to the association and promised to do more for the society.
Of vocational training, we do that a lot every year, especially on the institutional level, in which we call our youth to the campus, and then we give them training in agriculture, for a whole of 2 weeks, and it's usually free. And we know that we continue with such programs.
I want to say to them that what they have seen before, they should expect more. Now that we have brought into the spotlight, that we are highly professional and we have been recognized as so for the year, they can only expect better professional service in time to come.
In Ibadan, Olumide Gutola, NTA News.
Business and social activities were temporarily put on hold when students of the Osun State University took to the street to protest the alleged shooting of 2 students of the institution by armed policemen. Correspondent Adeni Itayo says victims are receiving treatment at the Ladoke Akintola University Teaching Hospital, Oshogbo.
That
That was the situation at Okebale and Olaya in Oshibo. A student of Osun State University took to the streets in demonstration against the alleged shooting of their colleagues by a police squad. This is coming barely weeks after the institution lost 2 students, one to ritual killing and the other to a knife wound. The shooting took place around 7:30 in the morning when the 2 victims, Adeshola Kazim, a 200-level physics and electronics student, and Ajayi Ibrahim, a 400-level student of the same department, went out to play football at Ogidon in Okebale. According to Michael Adeleke, a student leader, a police squad allegedly swooped on them, making demand for money.
The police used force in obtaining some of their properties, and even 2 of them were shot.
Commercial activities and vehicular movement were grounded to a halt as the students protest what they called repeated police brutality. Policemen and DSS operatives were seen clearing the streets of mounted roadblocks and bonfire while trying to restore calm. At Lautech Teaching Hospital, Oshibo, where the victims were taken for treatment, Osun State Commissioner of Police, Olafmiyo Adoye, was cited engaging with the students. He said members of the squad suspected to be involved in the incident had been arrested.
They are already in detention. The necessary internal control mechanism has been activated to deal with the situation.
Although calm has returned, residents of Okebale are calling for a permanent solution to frequent clashes between policemen and Osun students. In Oshibo, Adini Taiwo, NTA News.
The Alaafin of Oyo Lamidi Adeyemi III has reiterated his commitment to the sustainable development of Oyo town and the progress of Yoruba people. The Oyo Monarch stated this while marking his 46th coronation anniversary in his palace. Renewable has details.
The Alaafin of Oyo Lamidi Adeyemi III marked this year's 46th coronation anniversary with a difference. In his brief overview of the monarch's reign, retired Archbishop Ayo Ladibolu reminisced on the events and developments that has occurred in Oyo town since Oba Adeyemi ascended the throne of his fathers, describing it as monumental. These were also the views shared by the Honorable Member of the Federal House of Representatives, Honorable Akim Adeyemi, and the Oyo Messes who took turn to extol the virtues of the Oyo monarch, describing it as unprecedented. The Alaafin of Oyo Lamidi Adeyemi expressed gratitude to God and the people of Oyo and reiterated his commitment towards seeing to the development of Oyo town. And the Yoruba race.
The development is ongoing. As you know, we've never stopped. So far, so good. Try our best to do what we can do.
This year's coronation anniversary was anchored on the celebration and remembrance of Oyo-born actors who had carved a niche for themselves in theatre and Yoruba motion picture. The Oyo Monarch to contribute to the development and welfare of the association of these actors in Oyo State, which was received on behalf of the association by the governor, Mrs. Rose Odika. From Oyo, Larry Biloyi, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to you, Joseph, from the Constitutional Nationwide.
All right. The Children Government of Nigeria under the Children's Parliament has commended the federal government for the victory being achieved in the Northeast with dislodging of Camp Zero. The president of the Children Government, Awa Musa, stated this when she led officials of the body to visit the NIPOST Postmaster General Adebisi Adebui. Hawa Musa also commended the combined military forces for the feat, but stressed the need for the full rehabilitation of the IDP camps.
It does not translate the peace at home. Peace is not peace until the human and material consequences is addressed. To promote peace, those who pay the price for peace with their lives and beyond must be recognized and honored.
The NIPOST General thanked the children for their interest towards nation building and peaceful coexistence.
People who have paid that sacrifice deserve the greatest honor. And I'm happy that one of your recent data is to remember them. And I want to commend you for that.
The Children Government appointed the NIPOST Postmaster General as official courier of the children of Nigeria. Capacity building and articulation of potentials have been identified as the pivot of the youths achieving the Nigeria of their dreams. Senate President Bukola Saraki said this in a message to the first Nigerian Youth Parliament lecture in Abuja.
The first Nigerian Youth Parliament lecture had in attendance youth parliamentarians from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Senate President Bukola Saraki, represented by the Chairman, Senate Committee on FCT, Dino Melaye, urged the youth parliamentarians to show commitment and resilience in matters that concern them. He advised the youth to shun all forms of social vices and reposition their vision for a better society.
The field is very veritable for them. The field is very green for them. And they must also be part and parcel of policy implementation and formulation, so that with these, they can begin to attain their space in national politics.
Speaker, Nigerian Youth Parliament, Ayodele Obe, said members will continue to support the vision of Not Too Young to Run, which seeks to increase youth participation in governance.
We are strong supporter of the new bill being proposed by the Senate, particularly the Senate President, that intends to bring about, to engender 7.5 million jobs for Nigerian youth.
One of the issues raised is the role of the social media on good governance in Nigeria. In Abuja, Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Let's take a look at some of the other news from around the world for you. More than $11 million missing from the Gambia's treasury as Yaya Jammeh goes on exile. Plus, severe storms and fog hit United States and United Kingdom. Let's join Gabriel Odu on Global Tidbits.
Over $11 million, luxury cars and other items are said to have been loaded in a Chadian plane and flown out of Banjul, the Gambian capital. Reports say former Gambian President Yaya Jammeh might be on exile in Equatorial Guinea. And in Yaoundé, Cameroon, comes a report that a general in the army and 4 others have died in an helicopter crash Sunday as they lead a chase of Boko Haram militants around Boko region of Cameroon. And reports from Georgia and Mississippi say at least 18 people have died due to severe weather. Georgia Governor Nathan Deal has declared a state of emergency in some counties. While in the United Kingdom, flights have been cancelled at London airports due to heavy fog. That's Global Tidbits. Gabriel Odu, NTA News.
Let's bring you some sports news now with Kene Emabudike.
The board of the Nigeria Cricket Federation has mandated those handling the ongoing construction of 8 turfs in Abuja to hasten the work in order to allow the federation bid for the 2017 North-West Africa Cricket Championship. This was part of the 8-point communique released after the board meeting attended by 9 out of 10 members over the weekend in Abuja. The meeting, which agreed to set up cricket secretariat in every state for developmental purposes, appealed to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to make funds available for its programs. In the meantime, President of the Deaf Sports Federation, Ahmed Nahuche, says there is need for adequate attention to be given to the federation in order for its members to showcase their talents and win laurels for the country.
We hope soon enough we'll continue once we get sponsorship, sponsors to help us to carry out this program.
Gabon have become the 4th host nation to be knocked out at the group stage of Africa Cup of Nations after their goalless draw with Cameroon, which progressed to the quarterfinals. Burkina Faso are the other quarterfinalists from Group A after they beat debutant Guinea-Bissau by 2-0. Meanwhile, Morocco will meet Côte d'Ivoire, while Togo face Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday. Former world number 1 Rafael Nadal had to dig deep to beat Gael Monfils 6-3, 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 in the tense clash on Monday to reach the Australian Open quarterfinals. Nadal, who has not reached the last 8 in a major since the 2015 French Open, will meet 3rd seed Milos Raonic for a place in the semi-finals. With sports update, Kene Imabudike, NTA News.
And just before we go, a reminder that you can get all our stories and much more when you log on to our website. That's www.nta.ng. And that's NTA Nationwide for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Joseph Johnson. Bye-bye.